Okay, so I've been getting a lot of questions via Instagram from you guys, and I don't always get around to answering all the questions that come in through YouTube and Instagram and through my email and things like that. But sometimes I'll answer you guys directly if it's something quick, and then if I think that it's something that will help other people, then I'll do it in this format. So if you have a question, ask it, like just tell me the question and I'll try to get around to it. A lot of people reach out and they say, hey, can I ask you for advice? Like, just go ahead and tell me your question. Otherwise, I'm probably not gonna have time to answer you and start like a whole dialogue. Okay, so on Instagram, let's find out what your questions are. I'm looking for a good voiceover coach to take lessons and classes with over the summer. Do you have any recommendations? I have never taken a voiceover class. I've been doing this for 8 years. I take classes all the time, but I've never taken a class that's been stated as voiceover class or course or anything like that. I would imagine that classes like that are more introductory and just kind of skim over the basics, but I guess I don't have a recommendation in that regard. But what I've done is when I take a course or a class, it's for something specific that I want to learn. And for example, Scott Brick is a very well-known, seasoned audiobook narrator with hundreds of credits under his belt, and he is highly regarded in the industry. So I saw him on social media giving a couple of interviews and, doing little workshops. I've seen clips of his workshops, and I really liked what he had to say. So I went to his website and saw that he was selling a recording of an entire workshop that he did for audiobooks. And it was like a 10-hour workshop that he did over the course of 2 days. And I was able to buy that and just audit it by sitting and watching and learning from hearing the feedback that he had to give to other people. So that being said, absolutely, if you want to get a voiceover coach, I think that's great. Most of them that I find are through recommendations. So I guess I could just give you names, but that doesn't mean that I've worked with all these people, but it might give you a starting point. And I would say go look at their social media, go look to see what they have up online, and use that to kind of see if you're a good match for them. So for example, Tasia Valenza, I follow her on Instagram. She was the voice of Poison Ivy in one of the Batman video games. I've seen some of the tips and tricks that she gives through social media, and they sound great. So if you're able to do an online workshop with her and you like some of the stuff that she said on social media, I think that would be a good option. I recently reached out to a guy by the name of Tom Pinto. I'm going to take a one-on-one session with him because I want to dive deeper into promo and narration and nuances and kind of developing my styles more in that realm and honing in on things in those specific fields of voiceover. But I hear that he's a great coach for a whole plethora of things, and he can kind of sit down, speak with you, assess things. One-on-ones do tend to be expensive. Workshops tend to be much more affordable. You pay like $150, $180 for a workshop, but those are just a couple hours where you're sitting in front of somebody. So workshops are good things to look at as well. I've never done a class, like I said. I think those might tend to be more introductory. And I've never heard of like voiceover classes that are very regular, like acting classes. I think that's my answer for that. I don't think I'm missing anything else. Yeah, another good place to look is Voiceover Buzz Weekly on YouTube. They bring in a lot of people from the industry and interview them. And if you find someone where you think, oh my gosh, I would love to learn more about that, then go ahead and look them up and see if they give any coaching or have any workshops for sale or stuff like that. Otherwise, you can just ask me whatever your questions are. Okay, so that's that one. Okay, Stephen Corbin. Hi, I recently found your YouTube channel, blah, blah, blah. I was wondering if you do any mentoring. The reason I ask is because I want to go full time. I can edit videos really well and would be willing to edit your YouTube videos in exchange for your mentoring. Okay, hi, Steve. Oh, you're Steve Corbin, not Steven. Okay, so hi, Steve. I already have somebody that does my YouTube for me. Thank you for the offer. As far as mentorship goes, I 100% understand that why you're looking for one. When I was first getting started, I was just dying to have someone to tell me what to do, and there was nobody to tell me what to do, and I had to figure it all out on myself. So I totally get that that's something that you would want. As far as finding a mentor, some people are lucky. Some people actually know people in the space and they already have a relationship with them, or they went to school with them, or it was a teacher or something of the sort, and now they're a mentor in some capacity for free. That is not my situation, and I don't know anybody with that situation. So I will say that as far as mentoring goes, it will be through the teachers that you do pay for monetarily. So in terms of you wanting to learn and find direction and things like that, a lot of that is going to be self-generated, but I'll say do exactly what you're doing and find people on various platforms that are giving information. And whenever you hear of workshops or little things that you can afford, go ahead and jump in there. And the way that it works is you start to pick up breadcrumbs as you move around. So you might go over to this workshop, learn some things, but actually get names of people in the industry that you could go to next. Or maybe you get names of people in the industry who are posting on YouTube or things like that. Other than that, probably the most affordable way to get information is like what I'm doing now, giving information for free on YouTube, or there might be people who have e-learning courses that are relatively cheap for you to follow. Other than that, you're an entrepreneur, so there's gonna be times where you need to figure it out on your own. I wish I had a better answer for you. That's probably disappointing, but I have confidence that you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So if you have specific questions, feel free to ask me. But other than that, I don't have any information on mentorships. Oh gosh, I don't have many answers today, do I? I've been looking for guidance. Okay, so, a voice recording from Nabi. Okay, so Nabi's asking about audiobook gigs, where to find them. So there's a couple different ways that you can find them. One easy option is acx.com. It's Amazon's platform for creating audiobooks and basically marrying authors with narrators. So that's an easy thing to go to. They have tons of books that are auditioning narrators that you can go to, and you can set up your profile. That's acx.com. That's one way. Another way is to find audiobook publishers, of which there are many. And basically you type in audiobook publishers online. You can search by city. You can search by top audiobook publishers. Whatever keywords pop into your head, you will find audiobook publishers, and you can navigate their websites to see how to submit yourself to get on their roster. That I haven't had as much success with, just because I think it's kind of, the audiobook realm is growing so quickly, especially over the last couple years, that people are still figuring out the best way that they want to function. But that's 100% valid, to find audiobook publishers, reach out to them, find out what they require of your demo, how to submit to them, send them an email, and figure it out that way. Another way that would be, I would say, more labor intensive would be to look for books that you want to narrate that don't have an audio book component yet, and then reach out to their narrator or reach out to their publisher and see if they would be interested in having an audiobook done. The easiest way to get started is ACX. The auditions are already there, which are a feat on its own to start landing those auditions, and that's where you want to place your energy and focus. If you want to expand from there, look for audiobook publishers, and then expand from there if you want to get very specific about seeking out the books that you really want to read that aren't created in audiobook yet. There are other companies, like for example, Audible has a roster, but they're much more difficult to get into. They usually won't even entertain your, submission unless you have a dozen books under your belt, things like that. But I hope that helps. That was an easy one to answer. Okay, Mr. Soul Punch. So he is talking about audiobook demos, and he wants to check about copyright laws in regards to using anybody's book for their sample. I have never worried about that ever. And my thinking of it is you're not selling your demo, and you're never gonna sell your demo. So you're not making any kind of profit on your demos. So, you know, I picked one of the most famous authors on the planet at the moment, Neil Gaiman, who is all over the place, very well known, and I picked from one of his children's books for my demo. It's never been a problem. So my answer is no, don't worry about it. You're not selling your demo. If you want to check with the author, feel free to, if you can find an email or a contact for them, just reach out to them and say, hey, I want to make a demo of your audiobook. And it would just be kind of nice for the author to know that you're interested in their work enough to make a demo of it, and it might lead to some kind of connection. But other than that, I wouldn't worry about it. Just look for a demo that you are really inspired to create, and that's that. Okay, that was Mr. Soul Punch. Bye, Mr. Soul Punch. Ashton. Ooh, this is from December. Sorry, I'm so late. Also, are you aware of any US-based vocal coach I could learn from, maybe over Zoom? I answered this for Nicole. No, I don't. I mean, I named a couple people, but I will say that vocal coaches tend to be very expensive. I said Thomas Pinto. I've heard Kay Bess. I said Tasia Valenza, but more often than not, I would say whenever it comes to finding a coach, you've got to know what it is you're wanting to learn. And if you're already at that point where you're getting more detailed about the things that you want to hone in on, then you probably wouldn't be asking me this question because you've navigated that already. In my experience, the price point for vocal coaches tends to be between like $150 per hour to $300 per hour. So unless you have that kind of money to spend for a vocal coach in a general sense of just tell me how to navigate the voiceover world, then I would probably direct you to things like I said earlier, workshops, online classes, free information via YouTube, stuff like that. Other than that, what I do is I take acting classes regularly. I do that every single week. But it doesn't have to have anything to do with voiceover. It's just acting for acting's sake. Other than that, whenever you're asking questions for the voiceover world, they tend to be much more specific. So like I said earlier, Tom Pinto, I'm reaching out to him to fine tune my promo and narration section, because promo is a bit different from commercial, and audiobook is very different from narration, and narration is different from commercial, that kind of stuff. So to like hone in on specific things with a coach and really find out what the industry is doing, what they're looking for, and to stylize yourself for those specific mediums, that's why I would use a personal one-on-one coach. Okay, this will be the last one to wrap it up. Tasha, out of the blue, came across your voiceover thing. I think can be just another thing to try while figuring out what I want to do in life. Can you make full-time better salaries as a voice actor, or may it remain a side gig for most people? It's my full-time gig, and I'm making more money doing this than I did in any of my other jobs before I did this, and that's that I have 2 bachelor's degrees. So yeah, I would say that you can make a living off of voiceover full-time. And you could also just keep it as a side gig. It is literally whatever you want. That's the beauty of the freedom of it. Are the equipments the same for voiceover and podcast? I mean, that's kind of, you're talking about microphones and soundproofing and things like that. Podcast is not nearly as strict as they are for voiceover. So if you have a setup that's good for voiceover, 1000% you can do it for podcast. If you have a setup that's good for podcast, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna be able to use that same setup for voiceover. So basically, off the top of my head, the specs for voiceover that you want a room or a space that's soundproof enough and a microphone that is good enough to have a noise floor of -60, which means that you don't have any rumbling or AC or anything that goes above -60 decibels in the background. You want to, have a clear sound. It's kind of natural, like intuitive, whenever you listen to your own recording. Like you want it to be clear, concise. If it's something that if you think it's the same quality that you would hear on an audiobook or in a commercial, you're probably good. But yeah, I hope that answers that. Is voice actor career can be fulfilled being a digital nomad? I guess not due to specific audio setup. Actually, it's funny that you ask this because I am ready to hit the road. I need a vacation. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for an RV trailer, and I'm looking for one that has the bunk beds in the back, and I'm going to convert that space to a mobile studio. So to me, 1000%, you can travel being a voiceover. That is if you have the setup and all of that for it. If you have a trailer that you could convert, cool. If you have the money that you can invest in a trailer to convert, depends on how serious you are about all of it. But for me, I'm going to travel on the road while doing voiceover. That's what I want to do, and it's 1000% possible. Other than that, if you mean like traveling without a studio, no, not really. Unless you're already at the top of the industry and you don't even need your own home studio. But after 2020, even all the professionals at the top of the industry had to record from home and had to get their own home studio. And a lot of places I know in California still aren't recording in studio. And I'm gonna guess it's because it's much more affordable to hire a voice actor from their own home studio without paying studio fees, unless you're working on a very big, high budget project. Location, finance, time, wanderer of the world. Okay, yeah, so hopefully that answers that. If you guys have any other questions, go ahead, send them in, and I will try to answer them as best I can for you. But best of luck. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.